Hey guys, so we'll be starting shortly, so tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun and chime in the comment section if we want to hear what you think. All right.
Welcome back to another episode of the Councilmen. This will be our 50th episode. Today, again, we are joined as the usual with Albert and Kelvin. Sadly, Ariq and Teguh couldn't join in today. But however, we have a very special replacement for those two. Albert, I know you're very excited about this. Go ahead.
I'm really excited. I'm thrilled to introduce them. Let's just get them onto the show right away. They are the co-hosts of Geek History Lesson, which I've been listening to for the past 3 years or so. They are the co-writers of Science and the co-writers of Jupiter Jet. It is Ashley Victoria Robinson and Jason Inman. Hey guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello. Guys, congrats on your 50th episode, and thank you so much. It's an honor to be on your 50th episode.
I know. I feel like we're here for an anniversary.
Yeah, that's an accomplishment that not many podcasts can say and shows. So big congrats! Like seriously, we're gonna give you a round of applause. That's amazing.
Thank you.
It's been a grind.
For being on.
We're so happy to be on, and thank you for answering. We solicited being on, so thank you for that, and thank you for having us on so quickly. It means so much.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we have a lot in store today. We're gonna be talking to Ashley and Jason about their new Kickstarter project for Jupiter Jet and Forgotten Radio, which is, as of right now, it's really, really close in terms of achieving their goal. So if you're in the live chat right now, I'm going to put the link to their Kickstarter and go check it out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I did the math earlier today. We're less than 25 people. If 25 people buy the book, we'll fund.
Or if they just have $600 that you want to give us, we'll happily take that, and that'll get us right to the goal.
Yeah. If you do have $600, go chime in, guys. So. Actually, Jason, why don't you guys tell us about this Kickstarter project that you guys have?
Okay, so Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio is the second volume in our Ringo-nominated series. This is the first volume, Jupiter Jet, that's published by Action Lab 3 years ago. And it tells the story of 1936. Yes! Albert has as well. It tells the story. The Forgotten Radio is now set in 1936. It's about a jetpack superhero named Jackie Johnson. Her superhero name is Jupiter Jet. And she has been fighting with the human resistance against the alien Praetors for about a year now. And she really wants to go out into space and make a difference. And everything kind of changes when she meets a brand new character who flies into her life. Ashley, who's that?
Yes, in the first couple sequences, actually, if you go to the Kickstarter and you look at the art, you can actually see this character. She meets a character that we're calling the Black Flyer, and the Black Flyer lures Jupiter Jet out into space beyond where she's been working up to this time and opens her up to new adventures and new threats, and maybe turns out to be a character from Jackie's past that she didn't expect to see again.
We like to call the series, it's Kim Possible meets Men in Black. But basically, if you've ever read any of the 1990s DC comics, Robin, Nightwing, Birds of Prey, Superman Adventures, we really miss in current comic books the fun and the adventure and the simplicity of those comic books. And that's what we're really trying to do with Jupiter Jet. So this is our second volume. We've planned out 5 volumes. And as everybody knows, independent comic books are a labor of love. So that's the reason why we're going to Kickstarter. And so that way it becomes, all of our books.
Yeah, we look at Jupiter Jet and everybody who supports it as a family. So it's not only us and Ben and Taylor and Elizabeth and John Boy and the people who are directly working on the book, but everyone who funds it is a member of our Jet Setter family. And if this book is successful, then it's a success on everyone's behalf.
Yes.
Both of you for having us on, because we wouldn't be able to tell this story without everyone backing us up. And that means the world.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just real quick to get this out of the way, you guys have a podcast, the Geek History Lesson,
That's
and
correct.
every episode you guys have a meet cute, which is basically how you first encounter the story, how you first encounter characters. And I do have a meet cute for how I first encountered Jupiter Jet.
I want to hear this.
So yeah, I didn't got a chance to, because when you guys have your first Kickstarter for the first Jupiter Jet, I was still back in Indonesia, so I didn't have the capabilities to support that right then. But I really wanted to get the comic because I really want to know what it's all about, because I love you guys and I really adore what you guys do.
Thank you.
So I'm in West Lafayette, Indiana. And in my local comic book store, they do not have Jupiter Jet, and I requested them that, but they say that they don't accept requests. So yeah, I
That's a bad comic shop.
That's ridiculous.
very small comic shop. But yeah.
So I appreciate you pushing through.
Thank you. Yeah.
So basically, what happened is that was around, I believe it was released around 2017. Was that right? Yeah, it was winter break. So I happened to flew to Los Angeles. And it was with two of my other friends. And two of my friends, it was near the Grove. They decided to go to this Supreme store. And I'm like, I'm not interested in this. They're gonna spend a while. So I'm thinking what I can do. So I'm looking at my phone. I'm looking around what is nearby. And there is a comic book shop like 21 minutes away. So I decided
was it Golden Apple Comics?
No, I wish it was Golden Apple. It was a little bit more. Golden Apple was a bit further. This is... it is the Mega City one. Are you guys familiar with that?
No. So I'm gonna write that down.
All right.
So it's a 21-minute walk from around the Supreme store. So I decided to run/walk because I don't want to keep my friend waiting. I didn't tell them. I just left to go, and I don't even know if your comic book is gonna be there or not. So I just gambled, and luckily it was there. So I got the first issue of Jupiter Jet.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
And ever since then, I got a trade paperback, the whole thing. So yeah.
Oh, see, so that's great, man. So you know the one you're holding there, the issue 1, the John Boy cover, that's completely sold. That's a collector's item now because
they're never going to
print it again. So yeah. We can't even get it. I had to buy a couple off of eBay because I wanted them.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
But yeah, that was my meet cute. It was longer than I expected, but yeah.
No, that's cool, man. That's really cool. That's great. Wow, Mega City, that's awesome. No, that's like one of the best things ever about making like Jupiter Jet and any of our books is when we get like tweets or Facebook messages from people being like, I'm in the comic book shop and I found it. And we're like, that's awesome.
Yeah, especially for independent comic books, because we don't do the same numbers as Batman, although I think we're as good as Batman. All respect to Tom. He's lovely. So a lot of the sales of that book live or die on people going in and asking for it and requesting it. So it's so cool to hear that shops ordered it, maybe sight unseen.
Yeah.
Because we have a couple stores in the LA area that we know and that support us and that we can count on. And I'm so happy to have another one to add to the list.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. So me and Kelvin, we were debating of what kind of questions that we want to ask. And one thing that sort of in particular that Kelvin, his first question that he asked me was, Albert, why is it called Forgotten Radio? And I'm like,
what's with the Forgotten Radio?
Ashley's looking at me because I'm the one that came up with that.
Yeah. We didn't want to just call it Jupiter Jet 2, so we wanted a subtitle. And one of the first things that Jason pitched was the Forgotten Radio, even though we didn't necessarily know what the radio was.
Is that a big spoiler?
I'll tell you this. We actually pitched 3 different subtitles for Jupiter Jet 2. And we have them in a doc, and they were Jupiter Jet and Forgotten Radio is one of them. Jupiter Jet and the Crimson Dust. And Jupiter Jet and the Red Rocks. And I just thought Forgotten Radio sounded more like the Indiana Jones. Now, you're looking at me strange, but when you read Jupiter Jet 2, those other 2 titles will make sense.
Okay.
The Forgotten Radio, when we talk about this, is that like Jupiter Jet's little brother, his storyline is that he finds a mysterious lab that was built by his father. And inside it is a radio that is broadcasting to far out in the galaxy. And it has a message that it's been sending for years and years and years. And so he doesn't know who built this radio, why it's there, what it's doing. But this lab has been forgotten, hence the forgotten radio. So, and you'll learn how the radio like plays into everything as the story goes. But I like it because again, like Jupiter Jet like does have a inspiration in adventure comics, which is something that Indiana Jones very much is. And I love that like our book sounds like, you know, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and there's also a great comic book series called Atomic Robo, and they do the same thing. And I love Atomic Robo, and I was sort of inspired by that one because Atomic Robo is like Atomic Robo and the Temple of Time, and so like it's stuff like that.
That's really cool.
Alvin, you have a question?
You guys are going to get longer answers than you expect.
Yeah, we talk a lot.
No,
I mean it's great because like I'm just gonna be straightforward. Me and Kelvin, we really don't know what to say. Honestly, we're still shocked that you guys are here right now.
That's so sweet because, like, again, like I said at the top, like we couldn't do what we do without your support. So we're the ones who are lucky to be on your show. Don't think it's the other way around.
Yeah, no worries, man. Like, look, there's a lesson that I've learned. Like, nobody's podcast, nobody's YouTube show is better than anybody else's YouTube show or podcast show. We're all in this together. There's no competition. Although some of them like to create competition, there is no competition. You're a podcaster. We're a podcaster.
So we're peers.
So we're helping each other out.
Right.
And honestly, like we said at the beginning, we'll probably answer any questions.
Yeah, you can ask us whatever, man. You can ask us our thoughts on like Crisis on Infinite Earths or Star Trek Picard. We'll talk about anything, man.
Well, I can't talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths. Kelvin have not seen that, so probably be lost.
I mean, that
I only
scene,
know the like two Flash.
The scene where George Takei bitch slapped Patrick Stewart was pretty amazing. I just gotta say, whoa, get ready for that one, buddy.
Well, talking about helping each other out, in your Kickstarter, there are multiple tiers, and some of them does involve like peer reviews, reviewing like a screenplay, something like that, helping each other out. So you guys want to talk about that?
Totally. So something that we've been doing for all of our comic book Kickstarters is we really want to help as many people make as many other cool things as possible. And we asked for a lot of help, and we're still asking for help when we made our comics. That's how we got Nicholas Scott and John Boy Myers and all of these incredible people working on Jupiter Jet with us. So the biggest, and I think the coolest tiers that we have are script reviews and portfolio reviews. And they're at various levels, depending on who's the person who's sort of offering their reviews and their notes. Jason and I are the cheapest because we're the least impressive people in the options. But people have an opportunity to submit either an artist portfolio, a comic book script, or a television or movie script, and they'll get notes and they'll get feedback from people in the industry. We always get so many cool people helping us out. We have Mitch Gerrits, who draws this little independent book called Batman and Mr. Miracle that you might not have heard of.
Very independent.
Yeah, he's incredible, and he's so kind because I facilitate all of those reviews, so I get to read everybody's notes and I check out everyone's work. Mitch offers such incredible feedback. And then for the writing side, Jason actually reached out to Joseph Malozzi,
who's one of my writing heroes.
Who's and also a nice Canadian man. He worked on Stargate and Stargate Atlantis and Stargate Universe, and he created Dark Matter. And he is a huge nerd, so he knows genre, and they're willing to give you their time, give you their thoughts. And I will say, from doing them in the past, people always give way more constructive feedback than I expected. And the people that we are featuring are all people that Jason and I have gone to for advice in the past. So like we've vetted them, So we really believe that their advice is really valuable. And the coolest thing that happens is because we've run enough of these Kickstarters now, some of the projects that people were pitching in the beginning are coming to life. And that is like the most amazing thing. And I always promise that if you start your project through one of our reviews, we will support it. We'll be there for it. But Jason actually came up with an idea this year that has to do with Geek History Lesson, where you can kind of become a part of that show.
Oh yes, we've never ever on our podcast Geek History Lesson. We're getting close to episode 300, and we have never opened up the advertisements to just anybody. We've always gotten advertisements through certain groups. So I decided, like, hey, why not put that on the Kickstarter? Why not offer people a chance to get like a 3 to 4 minute ad read by us where we're promoting or pitching your thing. It can be, and I say it can be anything. It literally can be your store, it can be your YouTube channel, it can be your book, it can be your podcast, whatever you want. Like now, right, we have the right to refuse because you never know, is like somebody comes up there and be like, hey, will you do an advertisement for my dog poop keyhole hider? And you're like, no, we're not gonna do that one. But your YouTube channel will totally promote it, like or your podcast or anything like that. And I mean, just to let you know, like we get around like 10,000 to 30,000 listens per episode, so that's like a lot of people that's going to hear your thing. So like it could be quite a boost. We've never done it before, and actually I'm really excited. And so far nobody has taken us up on it. And I'm hoping somebody does, because I kind of did it because I wanted to. Like, I really wanted to promote some like really fun and different podcasts and YouTube channels, like normal ones that you don't see and stuff like that. But so that's another unique reward. And we have original art. You can buy original art from Volume 2. Yeah. We also will do a Skype call. We'll do a 30-minute Skype call.
Yeah, so if you're jealous of the experience that Albert and Kelvin and Jason and I are having right now, you can have one of your very own.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff there. I mean, but the best reward, we think, and it's the easiest reward, is the $25 level, which is, it basically gets you the book, 120 pages, gets you in complete Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio, complete volume. Also, we've been asked this question a lot. A lot of people will say like, oh, I don't have the money right now to donate. That's perfectly fine. I totally understand.
We've both been in that situation before, so we have a lot of empathy if that is the case.
Yeah, so we always say a share is just as powerful as donating to the campaign.
And I see that you have dropped the link in the chat, so thank you so much for that. So just sharing that link
makes a difference.
Is so powerful, because we want all the cool people who follow you to come check out us.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll keep sharing that link wherever it's also in the description below. So if you guys cannot click it on the live chat, you guys can scroll to the description of the video and you can go there. And yeah, all those tiers are amazing. So Kelvin, store up some money so they can promote us on their podcast. So I'm relying on your money, Kelv, to do that.
I haven't got my paycheck yet.
Well, I will also say that your card won't be charged until the campaign ends on February 20th. So there's time.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
There is a question from the live chat right now.
Let's take it.
From Garth McMurray.
Graphics are great, man.
I
know. So he says, I have a friend who... Okay, you want to read it, Kelv?
Sure. He asks that he have a friend who owns comic stores in San Diego, 2 in Somerville, MA and reading. MA? I'm not familiar.
What's MA, Jason?
Massachusetts.
Okay.
Oh.
I don't know either. I'm not American, so like the state abbreviation is always baffled.
By the way, I could be wrong about that. I think it's Massachusetts.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm pretty certain it's Massachusetts.
He asks what is the best way for them to order copies of Jupiter Jet for Jet stores?
So that's interesting. There's kind of 2 answers.
Yep.
This is 2. There's 2 answers for that. If you reach out to them and pass the Kickstarter link their way, we have a retailer level, because we really try to keep supportive retailers as close as possible. We have a short list of everybody who's a retailer who supports us all over the world. We have a couple stores in Ireland that are great to us. We have a bunch in Canada that are really great to us. We have one in Japan. And so if they go and order at the retailer level, they can get a pack of 5 signed books for it's better than the diamond discount.
Yes, it
for
is.
a discounted price that we will ship, and we always send a bunch of extra swag. We send like postcards and stickers and all kinds of extra stuff that they can either keep for themselves or give away. That's the way that they can pre-order it now. The book will be available through Diamond once the solicitations go up, and then they can just order it through their direct market distributor.
Yeah, we don't know, like, but it will be available through previews and Diamond. And I know, like, you don't want to say this, but you know, a comic book shop, we've always found, and I'm sorry you heard this happen, Albert, but we found this a lot with Jupiter Jet 1. There are certain comic shops that don't like to order the more independent
from smaller press,
outlets, which is what Action Lab is what we're publishing, and that's fine. But if you go to them and request it, a comic shop will be able to order
it. They can. It's whether or not
they want
the
to.
Staff policy is.
But the great thing is that you know you have a good comic book shop if you go there and make the request and they order it for you. Because the thing is that, and this is for all independent comic books, if you like say like an Image title or a Dark Horse title and you're like, I like that book, and you come in there and request it, there's a chance that shop might be like, maybe we'll buy 2 copies. Maybe we'll buy 3, because if one person is interested, maybe 3. And then that helps benefit the creators. And, you know, it creates like sort of a snowball. So again, if you walk into your comic book shop and you don't see Jupiter Jet and you want Jupiter Jet, your comic store can order it.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah. Also, they want to order it because like you're just showing interest in their store.
Yeah.
You know,
you're offering them money.
Yeah.
They should take your money.
Yeah.
I tried looking for the comics in Japan. I went to a few bookstores, but it's really hard to find it.
It's I'm probably pronouncing the name wrong, and I don't have it in front of me, but it's like Kinokuniya. It's a
Kinokuniya.
Yeah. They have copies of Jupiter Jet, and they have stores. They have stores all over the world, but they are the one store in Japan that has ordered Jupiter Jet. So they're the one. Otherwise, email jupiterjetcomic@gmail.com, and we'll figure out how to make it work for you. Because Jason and I want people to have access to the book.
That's right. That's right. We had a lot of people in Australia buy it, which was cool.
Yeah, we have a big Australia contingent, which is a joke on Geek History Lesson all the time with the international. So please, if you're in Australia, please invite us to stay in your guest house.
So yeah, I do also have a question for you guys. So
sure,
you guys have made Jupiter Jet. You guys have made Science. Ashley, you've made Aurora and the Eagle. Jason, you've made Super Soldiers. So have you guys always like dreamt of making your own comic book since a child, or how does the idea of Jupiter Jet? Because I correct me if I'm wrong. Jupiter Jet is your first comic, right?
It's our first published ongoing series.
Yes.
Jason and I did a bunch of like one-shots, or we were in anthologies before that, but that was our first series that was picked up.
Yes.
And that was the 4th or 5th one that we pitched. So we pitched a lot that got rejected before then. But why don't you start, and then I'll piggyback on your answer.
I'm afraid I don't understand the question.
It's like, how did you always want to start writing comics? And how did
I'm
you
sorry.
start
I apologize. Ashley's.
It's very late, and we've been up for a long time.
Ashley's answer got me lost.
Sorry.
I don't know why I'm doing it. Anyways, I've always wanted to write comic books. I've always wanted to write television. I've always wanted to write. And it's funny, I think like a lot of people, I didn't think that I could write comic books until I started working for like DC. And then I saw like, oh, you could do this. Like this is a job. This is a thing you can do. So I've always wanted to do it. Like the whole reason I wrote Super Soldiers last year was because I was like, well, I want to write a book. I want to write a book. And, you know, so I did it. So yeah, it's kind of a weird dream gig of mine a weird dream job of mine would be to walk into a store and see an issue of Superman with my name on it. Like that is like one of the bucket list items. You know, I don't know if that'll ever happen. Who knows if it ever will, but you know, like, yes. So it was always the dream 100% to write comics. Was it for you, Ashley, as well?
So I've read comics my whole life. My maternal family's French. Like my first comics were like Asterix and Obelix and like all these old weird French comics. And it literally never occurred to me that it was a job that people did, which is insane because of course it's a job that people can do. And then I met Jason, and Jason was entering the Top Cow talent hunt in 2013, and he was like, "Hey, you should do this too." And I was like, Yeah, because I'd written plays before that had been published and poetry and all kinds of weird stuff, but it wasn't until I met Jason that I really thought about writing comics seriously. And then the insane thing about Jupiter Jet is the way that it came to be is we were going to lunch. We like to do our pitch work out at restaurants.
Diners.
We were going to lunch to work on something else. And I said, I have an idea for a comic, but it's just the name and it's Jupiter Jet. And like, that's how it started. And Jason was like, oh, and she's got a jetpack and a little brother and a cat. And
She got red hair.
It turns out she's on Jupiter at the end. And like, that was how that first
Spoilers
volume.
for the first volume.
It came out 3 years ago.
If you haven't read it, that's on you. Also, if you read the Kickstarter campaign for the second volume, like we give it away the first couple, the first couple lines.
You gotta sell the one you're selling, not the one from years ago.
Yeah.
It's like when they were selling the Return of Jedi. They advertised that movie with like Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Spoilers for a 40-year-old movie.
I have a question actually about like how is it different when you're like writing like co-writing a book and also like different with when you're doing it alone or something like that or in a company. Does it feel
live in the same place, so even if we're not writing something together, we're each other's beta readers a lot, or we act as each other's editors, so it's really like not that different in my opinion. You have to do twice as much work. You have to write all the pages by yourself on the first draft, but we've done it enough now that we kind of have a system, and I like to say it's more equity than equality, because equality is the idea, right, of 50-50. If you write 10 pages, then I write 10 pages. And we typically break it up by story arc or scenes that we're most interested in reading or writing. So sometimes in an issue, I'll write 4 pages and Jason will write 16, or I'll write 8 and he'll write 12, or vice versa. But we do a lot of our planning together. So we have a pretty good sense of what the first draft is going to look like. And then we go separately, write all those pages, and then we come back together and fix it. And co-write it on the back end, time permitting. Sometimes time doesn't permit, and one of us will kind of take on the final draft. Whereas for me, writing comics on my own is a little more of like being in my bubble and then asking for help instead of working out some of the bugs earlier on. I don't know if it was different for you with Super Soldiers, because that's prose versus comics.
Yeah, I thought that's funny. That's what I thought. That's what I thought Kelvin's question was.
I think it's
the difference between comics and prose and stuff like that. It's funny, like if you're talking about like what's the difference between like, you know, writing prose and like writing comic books. For me, it's in comic books are, imagine you're watching a movie on fast forward and you're pressing pause. And when you press pause, you're only stopping at the best moments. Now in a prose book, you can write everything. You can put like he walks down the street, he sees the flowers, the sun feels good. Boy, I'm hungry today. Oh my God, a truck. But in a comic book, you would just write, he's walking down the street. Oh my God, a truck. None of the middle stuff. Because again, visual medium. So like that to me is like books allow you to go more internal. Same with television. Like television allows you, and movies allow you to be more internal with the character. You allow, because you follow these characters in real time, sort of. Whereas comic books is very much like, here's this beat, here's this beat. Oh, now we're jumping in time. Here's this beat, jump in time. Here's this beat, this beat, this beat. And readers will generally track it with you
if you've done your job.
If you've done your job, yeah. Like I mean, that's why like in one of the pages of Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio, there is a page, and it's 4 panels. And panel 1 is like the last beat of a scene, and then the next panel like jumps ahead an hour, and it's on the same page, but you track with it because the characters are going through. So I always use the, you know, again, you're watching a movie on fast forward and you're pressing pause at like the best moments.
Right. We do have other questions here, so let's in the live chat. So Efren Guzman, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. So question for Mr. Trivia to Jason and Ashley. If you had the opportunity to make a Jupiter Jet video game, what would it consist of?
I mean, I think this is obvious, right? Great question, Efren. You know how most video game systems have those awesome flying games, and usually they're the first video game that comes out with a system. Like it's like some F-16 battle thing. That's what it is. It's her in the jetpack flying through the sky, flying through buildings and shooting stuff. It's a flying game.
It's tough for me because Telltale imploded a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I always thought those are the kind of video games that I really like. I like video games that are really story driven.
Ashley's not good at video games.
Ashley's terrible at video games.
Nor am I. So
except like Journey, I was pretty okay at that Batman game, and Tetris. That's like about where my video game skills peak. But so I would want it to be more story driven. But if a video game company wants to pay for the rights to Jupiter Jet and make a video game, they can do whatever they want.
Be a fun video game.
I would want a level 2 that was maybe like a bonus level that was all Puddles the cat, because Puddles is like low key one of my favorite parts of Jupiter Jet.
Like the third person perspective, the cat's like just sort of walking through.
Yeah. And they have to like make it out of the workshop alive.
Oh, that's funny.
Like that.
That's funny. That would be like a fun secret level. Yeah.
But I think it would be truly like, we always say that we want Jupiter Jet to be a TV show. We keep putting it out in the universe that we hope Netflix animates it. But I think
awesome.
Becoming a video game would be really, really cool. And it was something I never thought of for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, in the same realm of like video games and games, Garth McMurray again says, my friend runs Boss Fight Studio, toy company making great action figures. Will they be open to a deal to make some Jupiter Jet action figures?
Of course.
I mean, short answer, yes. Long answer, that's a big complicated thing for people to figure out in a contract.
Yeah, I would say I have a contact on my website, jasoninman.com.
Or you can email jupiterjetcomic@gmail.com.
So hook us up.
Hook us up, Garth.
We'll consider any proposal, Garth. That's awesome. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if you can tell from the set behind us, the YouTube set, but we're fond of action figures here in Jupiter Jet HQ.
I might like action figures.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I know you guys have a lot of action figures. Do you guys have a favorite one? That's a tough question, probably.
A favorite action
because I also collect, well, I don't collect as much as you guys, but I have a ton of Funko Pops that's right in front of me right now. So you can see, nice. I'm just going to take one of them. Alex Wilder from Runaways, because I love that show.
Hey!
That's one of them.
Oh, I love Runaways.
One of the many right now in front of me.
I can get one of mine. So you answer while I get mine. Because it's right over there.
I have two. My number one is this dupe from Marvel Legends. And he was the bonus character with Deadpool. I'm not a big Deadpool fan, but I bought it because I love Ecstatics in that series, and I couldn't believe that they made a dupe action figure. He sits on my desk. My other one is back in the 80s, when they made Superpowers, which is sort of the action figure line based on the Super Friends. They made this Superman that I like played in the bathtub with, and I rubbed off his shield and stuff like that. And I played with it so much, and I have no idea like what happened to that little guy. He's like this tiny and stuff like that. And we were at a like sort of pawn toy shop, and we saw that Superman and Ashley bought it for me. And he actually is he's in a collector case, like in our bedroom. So
yeah, Jason collects Supermans, and I collect Robins. And
I have a third one though.
Oh yeah, you should tell this one.
This is not like an action figure, but this is like probably my favorite toy of all time. This is a metal Enterprise D. My grandmother bought this for me. This is a toy that was like released in like 1987, the first season of Next Generation came out, because that's how I got into Star Trek. And it even, it's metal. It even saucer separates, but you can hear it. I used to fly this thing around so much, and I flew it around so much. If you look at the nacelles, one of them is bent. You can see from dropping it on hard concrete. So yeah, it's this one. It's this one right here.
Yeah.
You can see that it's bent. But this is like one of my favorite. Like I will never get rid of this, and you can even see like the paint is like coming off in the end. But
it is well loved.
Ashley, what's your toy?
I take most of my action figures out of the package because I believe toys are for playing with. But I left this one in the package, and this is Benjamin Sisko from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is my all-time favorite Trek show. And Jason gave this to me, and I've kept it in the package because obviously Avery Brooks as Sisko is incredible, but I've always said that he reminds me of my dad, and take a deep breath, it's going to be okay. My dad passed away when I was a teen, And so Jason gave that to me to kind of remind me of what I love about Star Trek and remind me of my dad. And it's very near and dear to my heart. And it hangs over on the wall.
Plus, it's a badass looking action figure.
Plus, he looks great. Yeah, they. I think the DS9 action figures from like back in the day are some of the best looking ones. They actually kind of look like the actors.
You can see I have the first set of the DS9 action figures right there. You can see they're all in a line up there. Like that's what all those. That's the first wave. It's every wave, including. I don't think I can grab one. I was gonna say they made Morn, which is a weird choice for the first wave. They were like, yeah, you know who kids will like? The fat guy who sits at the bar.
Truly, the all-time best job for a featured extra on a television show.
But yeah, I am not too familiar with Deep Space Nine, even though I've never seen you guys. Probably I tune into your live stream on Instagram, and I asked about the question, what is like the best starting off point for someone who never seen Star Trek, because I've seen all the films and I do really like it, but I've just never got a chance to see any other TV shows.
Well, you have 300 episodes to watch.
More like 800. There are 800 episodes
There's
now.
a lot.
Actually, 788.
I hope next time we speak, I hope you've watched some that we could talk about.
I honestly, if anybody out there is interested in Star Trek, one of the great things about the internet is that there are so many lists now, like top 10 lists. I honestly would be like, find the series that appeals the most to you. And I would say if you like the movies, it's probably going to be Next Gen, or it's probably going to be. I honestly would start with the Next Generation or D Space Nine era, and just pick a top 10 list and watch a couple of their choices and see if you dig them. If you don't, move on to the next Trek show and go to their Trek list.
And that's kind of the cool thing about Star Trek is there are so many different shows that each have different tones and each excel at something different. So if you stick with it long enough, you'll probably find something that you like.
Every series, every one of them has a really great episode.
Yeah.
So you can find them all there. But my personal favorite is D Space Nine because it's just the one that speaks out to me. And it was serialized before serialized television was a thing, which is what every television show is now.
Yeah.
So it kind of broke the mold for that. It set the tone. And it really, to me, like pushed the franchise the most forward without feeling like too different.
Yeah, I definitely have to check all those out. These
but I'd imagine TNG is your best bet, Albert.
TNG, because Star Trek First Contact is my favorite of the.
Mine too.
It is. That is the correct answer.
We're gonna keep going.
Calvin, you
haven't watched a single Star Trek.
You should watch that.
On my desk.
I haven't watched a single Star Trek.
You have a lot of catching up to do.
On my desk, I have the Eagle Moss Phoenix from First Contact because I love that movie so much. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a little Starfleet right over here with all the ships.
All my favorite ships are over here. Yeah.
Right in there. But yeah, I do want to jump back a little bit, go back to Jupiter Jet. So the most important question that we have to know is Snuggles based off Intern Brego?
You should tell the story.
So when we were first pitching Jupiter Jet, Jason came up with the idea of the cat.
Yeah, so I said I was like, if we were making a red-haired superhero, we should have her. She should have a cat,
an orange.
And it should be like an orange cat. And then I came up with this. I came up with the name first. Like I was literally like I said, the cat should have a funny name. What about Puddles? And I think you asked, we were like, why Puddles? And I just came up with this weird backstory where I was like, oh, Jupiter Jet's little brother found this orange kitten in a puddle in the alley behind their shop. So he was named Puddles.
And we said that we were going to tell that story and we never did.
Nope.
Jason also pitched killing Puddles in issue 4 for a really long time.
Yeah, I did.
That was supposed to happen.
I did. Hey, look, like every good writer, I make a pitch and I come out. Yeah. By the way, so everybody out there, if you don't know, like we have this orange cat. We got this orange cat after Jupiter Jet 1. And he likes to come in while we're podcasting because we podcast in this room.
He's not in here now.
And we call him the GHL intern cat Brego. No, actually, you cannot see him. He's literally right there. Like you cannot see him on camera.
Oh, he's laying down.
Yeah.
He's like
you can't. He's literally like right.
He's
You
right there.
just can't see
He's
him.
on the other side of the
okay.
bag.
He's on the other side of that bag.
Not too
So
worried.
But he gets inside that futon a lot.
Yeah.
So if you guys ever watch me on Instagram Live, there's a 50% chance he's inside
mhm.
because he likes to just sit. He's a
Yeah.
little bit broken. But because we got him a couple years ago, and I think that's partially why,
Yeah.
if you check out Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio, Puddles is much more present.
Yes.
I think it's because we have a cat in our house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, you guys mentioned that there's going to be a time jump from the first issue to the second issue. Was that always the plan?
Yes.
That you guys decided to do?
So partially inspired by Harry Potter, but each volume of Jupiter Jet will move the story forward a year. So she was 16 in volume 1. She's 17 in volume 2. So she would be 18 for the next one, 19 for the next one, 20 for the other one. So
The last one.
yeah.
So we're gonna watch her. We're gonna watch her become a woman. We're gonna watch her become an
adult.
a real
Mhm.
grown-up person. And everyone thinks, if anyone's watching who's 17, sorry, but everyone thinks they know. They think they're an adult when they're 17, and there's a big difference between being 17 and 20. And that's the
Mhm.
story that we're telling with her.
Yeah.
As a 20-year-old ourselves, we can probably relate to that. There's
Yeah.
a-
I know. Think back to when you thought you knew how scary the world was.
Yeah. And yeah, also there is, like you guys mentioned, the Jupiter twist at the very end of the first issue. Will we be seeing a lot of more twists in the second issue, the second volume as well?
So this one,
I mean, there's a twist instead of on page 120. There's a twist on page 20 in this one.
this one we decided there's not a huge world-ending twist. The reason why in volume 1 there was because that was like in the original idea from the very first time we talked about it. And we're like, oh, that's going to be the end of volume 1. For this one, we talked about it. There's a minor twist at the end of issue 1. And then there's going to be a really weird scene in issue 4.
Oh yeah,
that's
going to pay off.
the people that when people read volume 2, they're going to be like, what is this? And it will not be explained in volume 2 at all. It's going to completely set up something else that's going to happen in volume 3. So
yeah, Jason and I recently planned volume 3.
So no, there won't be like a complete world-ending twist in this one,
Okay.
but there will be a couple of surprises.
Yeah, I would say there's more revelations than twists this time.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna be something to look forward to and to look back again once we see all the volumes and all the
Yes.
stories for Jupiter Jet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to see if there's any question in the live chat again. But while I'm doing that, Kelvin, do you have any questions for them about Jupiter Jet?
Oh, is Jupiter Jet like takes place in the future, or is it like like just in now but in Jupiter?
Well, I'll tell you because I think you guys are cool.
Okay.
Yes. So the secret of volume 1 that you find out is that in volume 1 they all think it's 1935, and at the end of volume 1 you find out that it is not 1935. They are 1,000 years in the future, and so then it becomes a big part of the mystery. Why is their world like 1935 if they are in the year 3000?
Yeah, Jason and I know what year we think it takes place.
Yeah, that's not the year it takes place in, but
I
we
don't know if we'll
okay.
ever
Yep.
reveal the exact year, but it
Yep.
is one of those stories that's like in the distant future. Instead of some science fiction is 5 minutes in the future, this
Yes.
is like way
down the
in
line.
future.
Yeah. So yes,
You're the first person who's ever asked us that.
Yeah, so great question. So that's why volume 2 is going to be a space adventure,
Mm-hmm.
because she's
Ah.
going out into space and she's going to be encountering stuff.
She's gonna be having other things in space.
Yes. So there's like a lot of different stuff, but you'll learn what that is or why that is, but that's a volume 3 question.
And a volume,
which only happens if we get volume 2.
question. Yeah.
So
Like,
Yeah. So, Kelvin,
what?
I thought you were to say something.
No.
but yeah, that one, when I honestly did not saw that reveal coming when I was reading the first volume at the very end, and I'm genuinely excited to read volume 2. And if I'm not wrong, once again during one of your live stream, you mentioned that it's going to have like a Western vibe.
Yeah,
Yes.
if people read the Kickstarter campaign carefully, or if they check out some of these interviews,
We give a lot of clues.
I don't think people read the Kickstarter campaign that carefully.
Yeah.
That's my conspiracy theory. There is a lot of stuff that we mentioned about Westerns. If you follow Jason and you're familiar with his taste, Jason likes Westerns
A lot.
a lot. We've been watching a lot of Westerns recently. And in the first volume, we really explored the town that she lives in, Olympic Heights, which is like Depression era New York City. And so we wanted to go and explore something different. And so it might be cowboys this time. And if volume 2 funds and if future volumes happen, then we're hoping to see more inspirations from different time periods and different parts of the world as well, not just North America.
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, cowboys.
They'll be very
Some
excited.
version of cowboys will probably be coming in volume
There will
2.
be
Alien cowboys.
a Western
Space cowboys.
adventure in volume 2. I won't tell you how, but it's going to happen.
That would be a real spoiler.
That would be a big spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah, we got that comment right there. I just tuned in to support my friend Albert, but man, now I'm set on checking out this comment.
Yay!
Good for supporting your friend, because if you don't support your friends, how are we going to get anything done? And thank you so
That's
much.
true.
I hope you check out the comic and I hope you love it. If you don't, sorry.
Donate
Garth,
to Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
Garth McMurray again have said that. Have they had people doing Jupiter Jet cosplays?
We
Never seen him?
have.
Yeah.
We have.
Oh.
The first person who ever cosplayed as Jupiter Jet is a lovely young lady named Aspen. She was 9 at the time, and she came out to Phoenix. What was it called? Phoenix Comic Con?
It was Phoenix.
It's had several name changes since
Yeah,
then.
it's like Phoenix Fan Fest now in Arizona.
Yes,
Okay.
and she came out and she dressed up as Jupiter Jet, and I almost cried in front of a child.
Yep.
She's awesome. We like her a lot. We keep in touch with her.
The best thing we heard is that when she was walking in, when she came to our table, because she loved Jupiter Jet, her father told us that when they hadn't even crossed into the doors of the convention center yet, and somebody walked past them and went, "Is that Are you Jupiter Jet?" And we were like, "Who is that person?"
Yeah, so if you want to, if you are a cosplayer and you want us to fall in love with you, a cosplay is Jupiter Jet.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't know if you're ever going to beat like a 9-year-old kid, because look, it's great that adult people like the book, but it's really, really special when kids like the book. Like that touches my heart in a way I didn't expect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had a question just now in mind, and I'm blanking.
It's okay, it'll come back.
But yeah, I got it back. Do you guys have any? You guys mentioned the Phoenix Fan Fest. You guys have any plans to ever go to the Midwest? Because I'm closer here, and I would love to meet.
Because you guys are in Are you Albert? You're in Indiana.
I am in Indiana.
Yeah.
Where are you, Kelvin?
I'm in Japan.
Oh,
Right
okay.
now.
That's quite a ways
I
from
mean,
Indiana.
look, we want to come to Japan so bad. So
No, not this year. Not this year. My schedule doesn't really allow it because I have a.
Jason's
Right.
working on a super secret TV show.
Yeah, I'm working. I'm lucky to be working on a television show this year, so I don't. It's a 9 to 5 job.
Right.
9 to 7.
Yeah, it's a 9 to 7 job. But anyways, so I don't have the ability. Like a lot of cons are like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I don't have the ability to take the time off. I mean, I would love to. My hometown Comic Con is Planet Comic Con in Kansas City, Missouri. It's like 2 hours from where I grew up. So we went there a couple years ago, and it was a blast. And I would love to go back to them. I've heard Chicago Comic Con is amazing. C2E2 is amazing. So hopefully soon.
I will say, if anyone wants to see us at any conventions, the best thing you can do is there's always a contact person for your convention. Write them an email and tell them that you think we're great and you would like to see us as guests.
Yeah.
Because if they invite us as guests, that makes it a lot easier than us trying to go ourselves. And people often ask us why we're pretty much a SoCal Con group of people. And that's because we live in Los Angeles.
Because we can drive to it.
So, but we would love to. Like, I would absolutely love to go. I've never been to Indiana, like, especially if it's somewhere I've never been. I would love to. But, Jason's got to make TV happen.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of cornfields in Indiana, so if you like corn, you have to look for it. So Garth McMurray once again asking, this is back to Star Trek. Speaking of timelines and alternate realities, what do Ashley and Jason think of the Kelvin timeline Star Trek movies?
I like them. I have no issue with the Kelvin timeline movies at all. I think they're great. I like Into Darkness. If you don't like it, that's fine. There's more for Ashley. Yeah, I like them, and I like what they did for the franchise because they revitalized it in a lot of ways, and they brought people like Albert, who'd never seen any Star Trek, to Trek. So you can't be mad about that ultimately. And I hope they make more movies. They probably won't. I mean, they'd be great.
Hopefully there's that word out there that Noah Hawley, who made Legion, is
so
making,
exciting.
and I hope that happens.
Jason loves Noah Hawley.
I love Noah Hawley. I love Legion. I love Fargo. I really like the cast of those movies. I think the cast is so good that I hope we get another one, because I think they're really good, and I think they deserve to have another shot at bat. But I also say this: I think Star Trek 2009 is the best movie that J.J. Abrams has ever made. Like, I don't like you can give me Force Awakens all you want, but Force Awakens is A New Hope, beat for beat, and at least Star Trek 09 is something kind of completely different.
Yeah.
So I like all Star Trek, basically, guys.
09 was.
I mean, there's a badge on my desk, for God's sakes.
No, I was, when the news broke of that potential, which I don't think is happening anymore, that because of the deals, that's the contract and all, the Hemsworth and Chris Pine, the father-son team up. I was
down for that
movie.
movie.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
I'd be down if they wanted to jump to The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine, or give us another updated cast with new actors. Like I would be totally fine if they want to do the Kelvin verse of every other Trek that's ever like, that's all cool by me.
Yeah, I mean, the fun fan cast I've heard is everybody, of course, goes, let's see Bryan Cranston as the Kelvin universe Captain Picard.
No, James McAvoy is a much cooler choice.
Well, it's the obvious choice.
Yeah, but sometimes the obvious choice is the right choice.
See, I'd flip it. Let's make James McAvoy Data.
I thought you said you wanted Tom Hiddleston.
Look, I can change my choices, Ashley. I don't have to be stuck.
No, I'm loving that you guys are geeking out about Star Trek, while Kelvin is just, every time he heard Kelvin timeline and he don't know what Star Trek is, he's probably just smiling and confused.
But I'm happy. There's a timeline named after me.
That's right.
Well, it's funny.
Kelvin verse.
You man, Kelvin, if you're not a fan of J.J. Abrams, you should be, my friend, because J.J. Abrams apparently had an uncle named Kelvin.
So there's a Kelvin in Easter egg in everything he does.
So every J.J. Abrams movie, has a Kelvin. The reason why this Star Trek timeline is called the Kelvin timeline is because the very first ship you see in Star Trek 09 that J.J. Abrams directed is the USS Kelvin. And it's spelled exactly like you. So that's where the timelines diverge. In Lost, he had a character played by Clancy Brown that was named, fun fact, Kelvin Inman.
Hey.
And then various other things like, so like if you can Google it, like J.J. Abrams throws Kelvin into everything. It's in Lost. It's in Mission Impossible. It's in Star Wars.
Is it?
Yeah. I'll look it up. I'll figure it out.
J.J. Abrams, Kelvin Easter eggs. So now you have to watch everything J.J. Abrams has ever made. It's like the law.
Yep. I'll find every Kelvin in his movie.
I like most of what Abrams do, I guess. I'm a fan of Mission Impossible 3, which I believe he did.
Oh man, you and Jason can talk Mission Impossible till cows come home. He loves Mission Impossible.
So in Star Wars The Force Awakens, when Rey first meets BB-8, I just found it, and she's like, oh, BB-8, don't come with me. She apparently points at one of the ridges and says, she's like, you can get to the town center if you just go past Kelvin Ridge.
Oh.
So there's a place on
Jakku named Kelvin.
Nice.
So, there you go.
All those Kelvin references. But yeah, going back, I just realized I've never got a chance to let you guys explain what Geek History Lesson is for those who's never heard of it.
Oh, sure.
So
we just assume that everyone here knows.
What would be the 10-cent origin of Geek History Lesson?
There you go.
Oh, nice.
That's a deep cut fan right there.
Mm-hmm.
Geek History Lesson is our podcast that Jason and I have been doing since 2014. We're coming up on episode 300, and it is exactly what the name says it is. We take a character or a construct or a team from pop culture, and we teach you everything you need to know about them in about an hour, except when we don't. Sometimes we'll have discussions. We do book clubs, but it's mostly character histories. And we try to make them fairly timely to things that are going on in the larger pop culture sphere. So there's a pretty good bet that when the Birds of Prey movie comes out, we'll be teaching a lesson on Birds of Prey.
And like next week, our episode, or this week, whenever this airs, will be best Star Trek The Next Generation episodes, because Picard just premiered.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, the past episode, if I recall, was Guy Gardner's episode.
It was. Yeah. Now we've been doing the show for long enough that we're starting to do characters that have been requested or that we kind of can't believe we haven't done. And that's how Guy got in there. We're doing a couple Green Lanterns this year. We're kind of rounding out our Green Lantern lessons this year.
Yeah, and as
I watched the episode with Barry Allen. You guys seems to hate Barry Allen.
We just like Wally West better.
Yeah.
And if you wanna,
it's comic book Barry Allen.
Yeah,
there's a difference between comic book Barry Allen and TV Barry Allen.
And movie Barry Allen.
Yeah, TV Barry Allen's fine.
Well, because TV Barry Allen is Wally West.
Well, yeah, TV Barry Allen, now touched movie Barry Allen, so they're fine.
Yeah.
It's comic book Barry Allen that I got a problem with.
But we do, when we talk about characters, we do try to be honest. Of course, we try to be positive. We try to find what is interesting about the character and what has sustained them. But sometimes we talk about characters that aren't our favorites. Sometimes you got to talk about the second best Flash and this Barry Allen.
Yep.
I mean, I too grew up watching the Justice League animated series. And
me too. Yeah,
me too.
It's hard. I think it's hard when you come up in the 90s because there were so many great legacy. We talk a lot about legacy characters, like sidekicks who got to become their mentor's mantle. And when you grew up on that, and then like 10 years later, they wiped it all away. I'm like, but I liked Connor Hawke and Kyle Rayner and Wally West. Why are you doing this to me?
Has there ever been? Okay, let me take it back. Has there been a character that you guys want to cover but haven't got a chance to yet?
Legion of Superheroes.
It's going to be so complicated.
I'm just going to keep pulling nerd stuff off my desk. Look at this. The Legion of
the
Superheroes.
Logo?
That's the Legion ring right there. So I'm a big Legion of Superheroes fan. The reason why, the reason why we haven't done the Legion of Superheroes is because, fun fact, the Legion of Superheroes have now been rebooted 6 times. So that means they have 6 distinct and different histories. And to me, it would just be like the most confusing episode of all time, which I would love to teach. But it also, I think, would take 3 episodes because it's so much. You can't unpack that much in one episode.
And then I've been pitching like literally for years, because Jason and I plan our episode topics about a year for the whole year, which that's how we try to do it. And then things get moved around a bit.
Sure.
But I've been pitching for years doing Sailor Moon, but the Sailor Moon continuity is crazy. And if you listen to any of the anime episodes, anime is not really Jason's bag. So it's a lot of me mispronouncing Japanese names at him.
Yes.
And being like, it's Makoto, right? Yeah, I think so, because I grew up on a lot of the dubs too, so I know like their English names, and then I'm trying to learn the Japanese names. So I think we might get to Sailor Moon this year, but that's one that I've been like just waiting to talk about.
Yep.
And yeah, talking about the Japanese pop culture and everything, you guys know that Ghibli is coming to HBO, right?
Yes,
HBO?
Finally.
Are you guys planning to cover more Ghibli stuff?
Yeah.
We also have plans for a couple more. I think we have 2 more Ghibli retrospectives that are in the hopper for this year. So if people have liked those episodes, we really liked doing them. Jason really liked doing Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah.
We have plans for a couple more. We're trying to tie them into their anniversaries. We're trying to keep them as timely as possible.
Well, I'm glad that they're going to come to streaming, because for Howl's Moving Castle, we had to spend a bit of time just hunting down the Blu-ray. It wasn't easy to find.
But I think we were ultimately glad, because
Howl's
Moving Castle is a really good movie.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Just for the record, Kiki's delivery service is my favorite.
Yes, high
High
five! That's my favorite.
Hello, Kiki.
Oh
Phil
man, we
Hartman.
watch the dubs because it's the easiest to be
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
take notes on, and it's so crazy to hear Gigi's
Phil Hartman.
English dub voice. Yeah.
Hello, Kiki.
I have so much Kiki stuff here in the house, but it's like not action figures. Like I have a cool mirror that has it's like a window, and Gigi's like looking out and spying on the cute girl cat. Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, yeah, I really like when you guys do Ghibli because there's like not a lot of there are lots of movie reviews on the internet, but there's not a lot that do cover Ghibli. So I like to listen to what you guys do when you.
Which is
thanks, man.
wild because they're so beautiful and so good
I
and
know.
so influential on nerd culture. But
Mhm.
I'm glad that you like it. I'm glad that we're doing an okay job
Yeah.
as we massacre everyone's names. Albert, how do you say your last name?
Oh, okay. Wiradharma.
Wiradharma. Okay.
Yep.
Because I've mispronounced it so many times.
Like the Dharma Initiative.
There you go. And now I have the opportunity to ask, so I wanted to make
Wiradharma.
sure that I asked.
All right. Nice.
All good. I mean, you guys pronounce it way better. I've heard it worse, so you guys are okay.
But if I have the opportunity to do it right, I want to do it right. So I'm glad I know now.
Mhm.
Yeah. And in Geek History Lesson, has there been an episode that is your favorite to do?
My favorite one to teach was I did a 2-part Teen Titans episode, and it's the Teen Titans are my favorite superhero team.
Mhm.
So I had a ton of fun doing that. It is way easier to do the lessons when you already know a lot about the character. You don't have to do as much research.
Yeah.
And when they're already like in your top tier of characters. So that was a really fun one for me. And the one that I like that Jason taught one of our early ones on Nightwing, and it's still one of my favorite episodes. It's a Dick Grayson episode.
I don't even remember. Man.
It was like in their first 50.
I know,
or so,
but I don't
yeah.
remember any parts for it. The one that's my favorite was we did a 3-parter on the Fantastic Four because the Fantastic Four are my favorite Marvel thing. And
Didn't
Ashley,
we do 4 episodes on the Fantastic
we
Four?
did, but I don't. It was 3 on the history, and then we did a fun best
yeah,
Fantastic
that's
Four
right.
ever. Ashley at the time wasn't a big fan of the Fantastic Four, so I took those on as a challenge to like convince Ashley to love the Fantastic Four or want to read the Fantastic Four by the end of the podcast, and I succeeded. But another fun one that a lot of people keep bringing up to me, and it is one that I remember fondly, is very early on in our first year, we did What If We Controlled Doctor Who?
Oh, yeah.
Because Ashley and I love Doctor Who so much, and Ashley and I each pitched like who would be our doctor, what would be our season, what would be the villain. And I as you can probably predict, I gave the doctor a cowboy as a companion, and it was a lot of fun.
Hopefully
but, yeah.
someday the BBC hears that episode and they hire us to write a freelance script.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm Canadian. I'm a Commonwealth citizen. I would need a work visa. It'd be super easy.
Yeah, there is an episode from one of the earlier days. I believe it was Loki, and Jason just started singing. Like he just made up a song on the go, and I was like on the bus, and I just started laughing to it.
Oh, I'm so happy. We made a Geek
Oh.
History Lesson bingo card last year, and Jason sings as one of the squares on it.
Yep.
Our best reviews on iTunes and also our worst reviews on iTunes almost always reference Jason singing.
And here's the thing: I don't sing that much on the podcast, but like from the iTunes reviews, you think people are like think I sing for an hour straight.
But when we talk to people like Albert, or when people come up to us at conventions, like people always mention, people love that you sing.
Yeah.
And then they love the voices, which is why the voices have come up more and more.
That's just like an old improv thing, because when I was in an improv group about 10 years ago, the games that we always killed with were the songs where we would do songs and we would replace the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
So it just like, it's this part of my brain that when you say stuff when we're recording the podcast where I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm just going to like insert these lyrics.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Also, there is I don't know. I guess it's a joke that you guys mentioned, and I always use when I want to like explain. Jason basically mentioned, who is Spider-Man's biggest villain?
Oh, yes.
Poverty.
Poverty. Yes.
Poverty. I always use that line.
I'm so like I was halfway mad about that.
Why?
Because there was no way I could have got it right. It's a trick. It's not wrong.
Yeah, it's poverty. It's true.
Yeah. And we've brought it back in a couple different episodes.
Who's Spider-Man's second greatest villain? I open this to the podcast.
Uncle Ben.
Second
is this a
greatest.
trick question or is this a legit?
Probably.
This is a legitimate question. Who is Spider-Man's second greatest villain? I leave it to you and Albert and Kelvin. What's your answer?
You know you're gonna be wrong, so just pick something. That's how I play this game.
Norman Osborn.
Incorrect. Wheat cakes.
Oh,
Aunt May's wheat
that's
cakes.
like a Silver Age of comics joke.
if you go and read the original run of Amazing Spider-Man, almost every issue Aunt May is giving him wheat cakes, and there's usually a joke in the issue where Spider-Man is swinging around and he's like, "Oh, I had too much wheat cakes."
He's bloated. He's gluten-free. He can't even eat.
Yeah, my first ever Spider-Man comic that I got was the Amazing Spider-Man, where they introduced Silk.
Oh,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm really
that's
excited they're
Spider-Verse
going to do that
era.
in the Spider-Verse too. That they're going to have Silk and
Mhm.
so I'm really excited for that.
That's a really good issue. I can't imagine it made any sense, but it's a
No, it
good
doesn't.
issue.
It doesn't. I was like, wait, who's this character? Why are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about like body swaps and Doc Ock and everything? So yeah.
Yeah.
Also, real quick before I almost forgot, I've been wanting to say this. So you guys, along with the late John Schnapp and Coy Janro, you guys really make me embrace the love for comic and collecting comics, because I like the superhero shows. I've watched it, but I've never had the confidence, I guess, to read comics and like just share my comic knowledge until you guys talk about it and how much you guys love it. And I'm like, yeah, this is fine to read comics and love comics and just spread the love and the knowledge. So yeah, I just want to say
That's so nice of you to say.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. That's really special. Like, because I always say love what you love. It doesn't matter what it is, whether that's football or car racing or comic books. We all love something, and you should never be ashamed of like what you love, because I know, because like when I was in high school, I was the kid that got teased because I read comic books. And like I kind of held on to that. And then when I moved out here in LA and I started appearing on the internet, I was like, I don't care. I like comic books and I don't care who knows it. You know, if you don't like it, then but yeah, so that means a lot, dude. Like, yeah, love what you love, and who cares about everybody, anything else.
Yeah, I don't like the phrase guilty pleasures, because I don't think you should feel ashamed of the things that you like. Maybe certain things are better for different forums than others, but if you love something, even if you know it's bad, even if you know it's campy, even if you know it's silly, just sell it, because it's way better to celebrate the things that you love than to complain about something or to talk about something that you don't love. So that's like so nice. I can't tell you how nice it is.
You see, Bert, that's why I keep on showing my love for Cat in the Hat.
Cat in
You're
the
a Dr. Seuss fan. I love that.
You're a Seuster.
There's a running joke in the podcast where Calvin always brings up Cat in the Hat, and I always get irritated.
The movie or the book?
The movie.
So you like Mike
Why not
Myers? All right.
Nice Canadian boy, Mike Myers.
Interesting, my friend. Interesting.
I almost forget to say real quick that episode in Geek History Lesson where I believe you guys had John Roca and Danny Fernandez, the Doctor Strange show.
The very first one.
The very first one. That one took me by surprise because I wasn't expecting it, and I always remember that because it's just so random. And it's so funny. So yeah.
That's the whole point, man. Like I think that was the year where I didn't want to do an episode for Christmas, and I was like, you know what? Let's just goof around. Like, this is our podcast. We can do whatever we want. I know we're like an educational pop culture podcast, but you know what? We do these funny voices. We do these things. Let's do a whole show of the funny voices. And we've now done the third one.
Now we have enough voices from the show that we don't need to bring guests on anymore. I think was Sam Basher on that one too?
Yeah.
Was he Barry Allen?
He was Barry Allen.
Because Sam was like our Barry Allen defender when we were doing
and so like, and now this year we introduced the idea that so in case anybody's watching, they don't understand, there is a joke on our podcast that when we did the Doctor Strange episode, that is before the Doctor Strange movie came out, I thought Benedict Cumberbatch would use his natural dialogue. So I made Doctor Strange English, like a hoity-toity, very bombastic Englishman. Of course, he used his American dialect in the movie, but I was like, screw it, we're committed, we're moving on. And so we came up with this gag that Doctor Strange hosts a radio advice show in New York.
We were rewatching Frasier at
the time. Yeah, we were watching Frasier, and so people call in and they ask Doctor Strange for advice with their life, and he gives them like spells and stuff. And now we've done it the third year in a row. And this year we introduced the idea that I guess that Doctor Strange is going to marry his assistant Clea. So get ready, everybody. Next year when we do the fourth one for Geek History Lesson, it's going to be the wedding of Doctor Strange.
It's gonna have to. We actually might have to have a guest to officiate the wedding, but we don't have to worry about that till December.
That's right. Yeah, it's a long ways off.
Yeah.
So yeah, for those of you guys who are listening right now and haven't heard of the Doctor Strange show, I recommend, if you can find that, listen to the very first one and all. So
it's pretty crazy.
Find it where all fine podcasts are found.
The live comments they were just arguing about Studio Ghibli movies, which one is better and all. And then a friend of mine pointed out, this I guess is random because I want to hear your thoughts on this because Kelvin really liked the film Movie 43.
I don't know what that is.
I know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
I know what that is. It's that movie where there's like 43 different scenes, right?
Yeah. Have you guys seen it?
Yes. I've never seen it because I've never heard a good review of it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Hey man, if you like it, that's
man.
Embrace it, Kelvin.
Embrace
Absolutely.
it. Exactly.
I watched 5 seasons of Teen Wolf. It wasn't a great show, but I loved it.
Yeah. So we're past the 1 hour mark here. So is there anything that you guys want to say furthermore? Once again, going back to Jupiter Jet, go check the Kickstarter link that I have in the description. But yeah, is there anything else that you guys want to say about the Kickstarter?
The easiest place to find it is jupiterjetcomic.com. And I just want to say that if you have liked any of the stuff we said over this course of this podcast, any of our thoughts about movies and Star Trek and all the toys we've showed and stuff like that, then just know that's the same flavor that we put in our comic books. It's the same style we do in everything. So if you like us, then please come and support our creations because you shouldn't hate, you should just create.
And also, if nothing else, get your hands on this. Ooh, the light is so bright. On this sweet John Boy Myers cover. There's going to be a sweet John Boy Myers cover on volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
And Jupiter Jet is a family. It's something that we're so proud to be making with you and for you. So if you can share it or support it in any way, we will be eternally grateful.
Yep.
And I really do love the cover. It's really awesome. And shout out to Ben Matsuya.
I have the original art of that cover in my office at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Boy sent it to me. Yeah, as a gift.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So Kelvin, do you have any other questions?
Not really.
We crushed it. We answered every possible question.
I feel like we covered everything.
Silence. I love it.
All right, then. Since we're in the 1 hour mark, I guess we should wrap up and all. So, Kelvin, why don't you do your thing?
Oh, all right. So let's block it up. I guess I'll start first. I'll do my plug first. So you guys can find me on Instagram at KYAce27. I also have a Twitch and Mixer account that sometimes I stream when I play games at DiscoMonkey027. And I guess if you guys want to play games with me on Steam, my Steam is DiscoMonkey007. Yeah. So how about you guys, Ashley, Jason?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ashley V. Robinson. The V is very important because Ashley Robinson is a WNBA player. I don't want to fight for SEO.
Is it?
She's stronger than me. Please follow me there. Tweet me cute pictures of Dick Grayson. And you can follow Jupiter Jet on Twitter at JupiterJetComic. You can follow Geek History Lesson at GHL Podcast. Where are you on the internet?
You can find me everywhere on the internet at Jawin, Jawin. It's the first 2 letters of all 3 of my names, Jason William Inman, because I was inspired by the same way that George Lucas named Obi-Wan Kenobi. because
Oh, your
Oh, is
favorite
that
Star Wars
why?
it
character.
was my favorite Star Wars character. Yeah, that's how George Lucas came up with some of the Star Wars names. He took the first two letters of people he knew.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
interesting
neat.
fact.
So that's where I came up with Jawan. That's where it comes from.
Nice.
Okay. So I guess it's my turn. So yeah, once again, guys, go check out Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio on Kickstarter. I mean, just look at that art. That art is so awesome. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna get
John
John
Boy.
Boy Meyer's
cool.
killing it.
So yeah, and of course from Jupiter Jet Volume 1 as well. And yeah, you can find me on social media at JA Wiradharma, JAWIRADHARMA on Twitter and Instagram. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, Joe Movies, go subscribe to it. Leave a like, leave a comment, share, spread the word of this podcast, The Councilmen Show. And you can also find The Councilmen Show on Twitter and Instagram at Councilmen Show. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes. It helps us out. And you can find it's called The Councilmen on wherever you find your podcasting, wherever you listen to podcasts. So yeah, go check that out. And just quick shout out to our other co-hosts who cannot be here today, Ariq Andria and Teguh Santoso. You guys rock. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
Wait, there's one last question from Garth McMurray over.
Oh, okay.
I guess since he's been so amazing with the questions so far, we'll take it, Garth.
I'm gonna steal a segment from your show. #stick around. So here you go.
Totally.
Yeah.
One last
question. Best place to send fan art?
We love fan art. If you want to send a digital file, JupiterJetComic@gmail.com is a great place. Jason has
A contact form.
page at JohnWin.com or JasonInman.com?
JasonInman.com.
JasonInman.com.
Although JohnWin.com will take you to the same place.
There you go. If you want to send us a physical copy of it, we do frame them and put them on the wall over there. We have a PO box, so just hit us up and I'll send you the address to the PO box.
Yeah. Cool.
So please send us fan art. That's the best. All
Wow,
we want in this world is fan art.
Let's go.
All right. So
guys, thank you again for coming onto the show.
Thank you
And I hope
so much.
the Kickstarter goes well.
Us too. It was a pleasure. Guys, this was a fun show, and congrats on your 50th episode.
I'm so glad that
Thank
we
you.
could be here for it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
perfect timing as well.
So I guess with that, the Councilman has spoken. And see you guys on the next episode.